Everybody, Upper Bay Podcast back for another episode. Per usual, if you are new here, thank you so much for checking us out. If you are not new here, thank you for checking us out for another episode. We really appreciate everybody's support. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and we're still really trying to grow that YouTube channel. So if you haven't done so, go over there, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell. You'll get notified when episodes drop. Rich, what is up, buddy?
What's up, man? Shane, every time I see that intro, it gets me fired up. I love it. But the only thing is we got to make an edit, dude. We need you. We got to get me and Mason show. We got to get some Shane in there.
I know. Every time I watch it too, I always just see that one fishing clip is in there. I'm like, God damn, we need some more fishing in there too.
Yeah, well, we got time. But what's up, man? It's good to be back on the pod.
Yeah.
We haven't gone in a minute, so
yeah, we took a little hiatus there for a week or so, but nothing, man. Just busy. I know you're busy too. Did you retake your test?
Yeah, I have, and I've failed that segment of the exam twice now. So we're talking about my captain's license test,
right?
Yeah. Probably just kind of incriminated myself a little bit by saying that I don't technically have it yet, and I've been guiding, but anyhow, we're getting there. I passed the first two. The third one that I knew was going to be the hardest part of it. The first round, I got a 76. I need a 90% to pass. I got a 76% out of 50 questions on the first go, 86% out of 50 questions on the second go. So, I got to get a couple more questions right.
You're right on the cusp. Honestly, it's kind of surprising they make it that difficult. Any other time they're like, 70 will get you a pass.
Yeah, so there's two. So you got to pass 4 exams to get your captain's license. You got your navigation general, your deck general, your rules of the road, which is the coal regs,
right?
Which is like all of the symbols, the lights, the sounds, the everything. What's up, Waylon? And like it's everything from literally a 7-foot John boat up to a over 200 meter like massive cargo ship. So like
right,
everything in between there. So like knowing myself, I knew this part of it was going to hang me up a little bit. But anyhow, got another crack at it Monday, and if you fail it 3 times, you got to sit through that portion again for a few hours, and then you get 3 more tries to retake it. Yada yada yada. So
gotcha.
In the right direction. Just look, I was in classes with 2 teachers my whole life. So like it takes me a while to grasp on.
Hey, I hear you, buddy. C's get degrees in my household, man.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I'm sure we'll get into the Bay a little bit, but I don't want to keep him in the background any longer.
No, let's bring him in, man, dude.
So
we got with
today,
us.
Well, today we got Aidan Ford on here with us. I actually, don't know too much about him, so we're going to learn a lot today. But what drew my attention is, I come across some of his reels on Instagram and seen some of his YouTube stuff. But his whole thing is, trying to catch a 10-pounder in the Mid-Atlantic, and he's a Maryland guy, and that's got to be a hefty feat. So let's bring him in here.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm good, man. Good.
I appreciate you, kind of pushing back 1 hour for us. So I know,
of course.
I know your time schedule's a little crazy.
It definitely is.
So you're in DC area? Is that what you were telling me?
Yeah, I'm in DC. I work in a restaurant. I work nights. It allows me to fish most days of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. So we had Dylan Waters on from Waters Edge TV probably 2 weeks ago now, and he's down from that area too. Yeah, I mean, he actually works in DC.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, so two DC hitters back to back here. But yeah. I mean, were you born and raised down in that area?
So I'm actually from Maryland, like the Annapolis area.
Okay.
And I spent most of my life in Maryland. Spent some time in the Northeast as well, upstate New York, Rhode Island. Spent a winter in Vermont, and then ended up back down here in DC in 2023.
How was the winter in Vermont?
I worked on a ski mountain.
Okay.
I forget which year it was, but it was probably like 5 or 6 years ago, and I had never skied before. And my buddies wanted to go, and I went for the first time. I was like, "This is awesome! This is the coolest thing I've ever done."
Yeah.
Second to fishing, of course, and I kind of was at a crossroads in life, so I just ended up at a ski mountain in Vermont for the winter. It was a good time. It was fun.
I had that ski resort dream for a little bit there. It never happened for me, but like, because it was way too late in life. But my wife and I, we went out to Big Sky, Montana to ski and snowboard and stuff. And then like, there it's like, it's all younger kids, like, 21 to 25 working there. And I'm like, man, that would have been the life. Just like packing up after you graduate high school and just like driving out to a different state and living on a mountain, just snowboarding every day. That would have been it.
Absolutely. I mean, skiing, snowboarding is all part of the job, basically. You're just a part of that lifestyle all day long.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So at what point did you get into fishing? I mean, did you fish with your dad growing up, or was this something you picked up a little later?
So actually the first person who took me fishing was my grandmother. She passed away last year, but very, very fond memories of fishing with her growing up. And she would just take me down to the shores of the Chesapeake Bay, and we'd catch spots and croaker, bluefish, rockfish, nothing big, but I'd put a bloodworm on a hook and just sit there on the rocks waiting. And that was my first fishing experience. And then later on, my dad and my uncle, they would start taking me bass fishing around some of the Baltimore County reservoirs like Loch Raven, renting a boat Saturday mornings. And then my uncle would take me on the Susquehanna River off the rocks at Holtwood Dam and Conowingo Dam. And so that's kind of where I got my start.
Nice.
Dude. There's in the state of Maryland, there's like a whole reservoir deal like that. Like I'm like slowly starting to like learn about.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a lot of them are like fire, like
oh yeah,
that can catch big ones. So like, what was the first your first experience like going to one of these, Maryland? You just mentioned one in Baltimore County. Like what like how early on was that?
I think I was 13 or 14 when I first fished. It was Loch Raven Reservoir. It's just above Towson, Maryland. And I think I caught one bass and a pickerel that day. And I was like, I want to do this all the time. And it was like a 14-inch bass. My dad and I were out there. We had a cooler with ice. We're like, oh, we gotta eat this thing. So, they're 14 years old eating a 14-inch bass.
Yeah. Heck yeah, dude.
I just, I was all about it. I was like, I want to go through the whole process of, rigging the baits. I want to hold all the baits and check them out. And, once I catch the fish, I just want to look at it and like hold it. I was just so amused by the fish. And then of course we took it home and ate it. But
nice.
my first experience with the Baltimore County reservoirs, I kind of cut my teeth on Loch Raven. So what's nice about Loch Raven is you can rent a boat there. So anybody that's looking into getting into fishing, or anybody that is a bank angler that wants to get on the water and get in a boat, Loch Raven is a great place to do that. There's awesome largemouth fishing there. Lots of pickerel, snakehead in there now too. But yeah, it's where I got my start. I haven't really fished Liberty and Pretty Boy too much. I've actually never fished Pretty Boy, those places that don't have boat rentals, and you need a very specific kind of boat to fish those places. They hand out X amount of permits a year for each of those places, but you can only have an electric motor. So a lot of guys run like a Torpedo or like an older Ray electric outboard.
Yeah.
And some of these boats out here, they go 9, 10, 11 miles per hour. There's this new electric outboard. I'm not sure what it's called, but you've got boats out there going over 20 miles an hour now.
Wow.
Off of electric motors. But you have to get the permit that says you can only fish those reservoirs. You're not allowed to put your boat in on a lake other than Loch Raven, Liberty, or Pretty Boy. So it's very, very strict rules, but there's some great fishing. And because of those rules, there's a lack of fishing pressure that a lot of other places get.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say is like, that's probably why, it's obviously why, because it keeps a lot of guys out that, can't just take their 20-foot bass cat and their Rangers too and just dump in whenever they want. I've never fished any of them, but like when I first got into bass fishing, I heard people talk about Loch Raven all the time. And it seemed like there was like one specific guy, I can't remember who it was. I followed him on social media, but that was his whole thing. Is like he spent so much time there and he was catching giant bass out of that place.
But yeah, there are a lot of big fish in there. Largemouth and smallmouth. The smallmouth are a lot harder to come by, but they're in there. But I've heard of quite a few 30-pound bags that come out of there in the spring.
Shoo.
So Loch Raven, are you allowed to have a boat with an outboard motor on that place, or is it like electric only everything?
Yeah, strictly electric only. You can't have you can't have a gas powered outboard at all. And like I said, if you get a permit for Loch Raven, you're restricted to only Loch Raven, Liberty, and Pretty Boy.
Gotcha. So the boat you're running now, Aidan, are you running an all electric boat, or are you running a boat with an outboard? Because I'm pretty sure you just fished the bay like a couple weeks ago, and if you did that all on electric, that's fucking impressive.
Yeah, it does have an outboard. Okay. I don't know if I'd put my boat in the bay without one. Maybe right around Anchor Marine there in the Northeast, but other than that, no, definitely need an outboard. It's a 16-foot. Aluminum. It's a low 160V. It's like a 92 or something. Little silver boat with a 25 horsepower Yamaha.
Hell yeah! So that your quest for a 10, you're not doing that in one of the reservoirs. You're spreading your wings and flying all over the place.
Yeah. So the whole quest kind of started with seeking out the potential of this region. I wanted to know what are some of the biggest bass to ever be caught in Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Delaware, this kind of like mid-Atlantic region, New Jersey.
Yep.
And Virginia was a clear winner.
Mm-hmm.
The state record there, 16 pounds, 4 ounces, caught out of Lake Connor in, I believe it was 1985 by Richard Tate. Huge fish for this area, because you kind of look at the state records everywhere else and it's like, 10 pounds, 11 pounds, 16 pounds, 4 ounces. I did some more research and it turns out there was a whole decade, even longer, where people were catching giant bass in Virginia, 13, 14, 15, 16 pounders. In fact, there was a 2-week span. I believe it was 1992, April 1st to April 14th. I might be wrong on the year, but I'm pretty sure it was 92, where there were 8 bass over 13 pounds caught in that 2-week stretch in 92 in Virginia. And I dug deeper because I'm very interested in 13-pound bass. Yeah. I dug deeper and found out that a lot of this has to do with Florida strain bass stockings and F1 hybrid stockings. F1 hybrid, for those who, I know you guys probably know what an F1 is, but for those who don't know, an F1 is a hybrid between a pure northern strain and a pure Florida strain largemouth bass, and it creates a fish that's very aggressive and can grow very large. So I wanted to dive more into the bodies of water that have been stocked with these fish, and there's not a whole lot of information out there, but there's enough. There was enough for me to find out, okay, this is a general area in Virginia where a lot of these smaller lakes, like 200 to 1,000 acres, that have been stocked in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and as early as a couple of years ago as well. Right. And these lakes have been stocked with Florida strain or F1 bass. And so I kind of realized that this was a big piece of the puzzle to catch these fish. I started the quest in December of 2025, so just a few months ago, and lots of ups and downs, but I've definitely found a couple of lakes where I think I have the best chance at catching this 10-pound fish. But it's been tough. It's been tough so far. It's definitely, it's hard to catch a 10-pound bass, but
yeah,
I think that this is the area that's going to happen.
Yeah, but how many 7s and 8s have you caught along the way already?
I think I've caught this year in 2026. I think I've caught 11 over 8 pounds.
Oh and my gosh!
4 of those were over 9.
You've caught more big fish in these last couple of months than anybody will ever catch in their lifetime. Just think about that.
A lot, not many, but a lot of people.
A lot more than the average guy, I will say.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to the bodies of water that I'm on, really.
I think it's important that you brought up the strain thing, because I feel like a lot of people don't know about that there is so many different strains, and that like the Florida strain was stocked quite a bit to produce bigger bass and more aggressive bass and stuff like that. But it is kind of interesting too that, like, you know, those 2 week periods that you were talking about where all those giant fish were caught, that it was like in the 90s, right? And you know, very small to no technology back then besides like a depth finder, the very minimal baits they were throwing. And I just wonder if it's like, was it a pressure thing? Like, was there almost no pressure back then? So there's bigger fish more willing to bite more then, whereas now you have a lot of pressure, a lot of guys fishing, maybe like more people that are educated like you trying to chase after these big bass. So they're not, they're seeing stuff all the time. I just think it's interesting that it's been so long since that many big fish have been caught in a stretch of time.
So actually what I think has happened is it's not so much a pressure thing. I do think pressure has affected the fisheries, but we can look at some of these particular lakes and when they were stocked, and a lot of it has to do when the lake was actually impounded. So they impound the reservoir and then they stock the bass.
Right.
And you get like a new lake effect, right?
Yep.
All of the water floods the ground. You have this rich soil, bushes, trees, a lot of shoreline cover, places for bass to, like juvenile bass, to have a chance to grow into adulthood. So that's step number one, is the fact that these are new lakes, and new lakes generally give bass a better chance to survive and grow to their maximum potential. But paired with Florida strain bass, this allows them to get really big. And usually there's like a pocket between like 8 to 12 years, sometimes earlier, sometimes later, but there's usually a pocket where these fish reach their maximum size. And these pure Florida strain bass reached their maximum size during those years. And what happens is these Florida strain bass they'll spawn with the northern strains, or what I like to call mutt bass that may have like 30% Florida alleles or 40% Florida alleles, whatever it is. So they'll spawn with other bass that aren't pure Florida strain, spawning new generations of bass. And each fish down the line, each new generation, they lose Florida genetics, or their pure Florida genetics aren't as strong. And so they lose the ability to grow to that size.
Right. So in the 90s, that first group that all became, call it 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, they were all pure Floridas. So they were not pure Floridas. I guess they were F1, or were they pures and they become F1s after the first spawn, or how does that work?
Yeah, they were pure. So actually this lake, and I'm just going to drop the name of the lake as well. It's Briary Creek Lake in Farmville, Virginia. And so when they stocked the place, they stocked pure Florida strain bass and they stocked pure northern strain bass. And so you had these Florida strain bass that got huge.
Right.
But at the same time, in the coming years, the Florida strains were spawning with the pure northerns.
Yep.
Creating F1s naturally.
Right.
And so those F1s got really big as well. And you saw another wave of big bass in like the late 90s, early 2000s. But it almost seems like it was two separate waves. You had late 80s, early 90s, and then late 90s, early 2000s.
Man, you know a lot about bass. What are you doing working at a restaurant, dude? I feel like you should be like a biologist somewhere, like working for the State Department or something.
Yeah, I've thought about it. A lot of this just comes from like research online and stuff, and I'm definitely far from a biologist. There's a lot of the science behind it that I don't know. I try to do as much research as possible, but there are so many factors that go into like growing big bass, and just stocking Florida strain bass is not the answer. Like, you still need a balanced ecosystem,
right?
These fish can, thrive.
Right. I mean, Maryland's doing it right though, because like, not hating on Maryland. Virginia is doing it right, because Virginia's continuing to stock Florida, or stock Floridas or F1s or something, right? Like that's how the James got their brood stock of F1s or Floridas or whatever. That's how Anna's got, their stock of F1s. Like there's a lot of places in Virginia where you can catch a giant, like, a better chance than in North Carolina, South Carolina, Maryland. Virginia's doing something right with that deal.
Absolutely. And I think to see the effects of that, it helps by pointing towards the larger bodies of water as opposed to the smaller ones that I fish. I hate to say this and discredit myself, but a lot of these 500, 600 acre lakes I fish, and the advent of forward facing sonar, it can be like shooting fish in a barrel sometimes. Sometimes. But what I'm trying to do is trying to put all the odds in my favor and give myself, as many advantages as possible to catch a big fish. So it makes more sense for me to fish a smaller place, a more condensed environment than a place like Smith Mountain Lake that's 30,000 acres. And, but anyways, I think a testament to the work Virginia has done, the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources, is you look at the James River and Smith Mountain Lake, the bigger bodies of water, versus like in Maryland, Chesapeake Bay, Potomac River. Now, Virginia does have an advantage on the James River because it is farther south. It's a warmer climate. Those fish have gotten huge. I mean, we've seen so many 10, 11, 12 pounders come out of the James River, Chickahominy River, all those tributaries because of this F1 stocking program.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if this was something that Maryland were to adopt, especially on the Chesapeake Bay, if Maryland just decided, hey, we're going to stock F1s on the Susquehanna River, you would see 10 pounders be caught on the flats frequently. It would take time. It would probably take 7, 8, 9 years, but it would have an effect. You would see it. I think the Chesapeake Bay is a diverse enough fishery. I mean, talk about a diverse fishery. The Chesapeake Bay is just incredible. And the Susquehanna Flats, is there even anything like it in the world?
Yeah.
I think the bay has all of the materials to grow giant bass, just is kind of lacking the genetics.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, well, I get. What do you think about that, Rich? I mean,
I would agree, man. I mean, there's only been one 10-pounder caught on the bay in the last 20 years.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? Like, there's been a couple 9s. I was lucky enough to catch one of the 9s, but it's a northern strain bass, and especially our bass on the bay, like, they're somewhat limited by the size of their mouths. Like, our fish have freaking shoulders, giant bodies, everything's, but their mouths just don't get that big. It is what it is. Where, like, when you catch a giant Florida strain, it's like if you catch a Florida strain that's 8 pounds, you can damn near put your whole fist in their mouth. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just different DNA. But kudos to Virginia for doing that, man. It's cool to see. It's awesome to see that the program is working. When you kind of set off on this quest, Aiden, to catch the 10-pounder, like, did you have to kind of shift how you went about your fishing? Like, have you changed in like your strategies to, like, I could go over here and probably catch a pile of 3-pounders, 4-pounders, whatever, but that's not what we're doing. We're trying to go catch a giant. Like, what have you had to do to change to consistently give yourself an opportunity to do that?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought that up because it is a different mindset. And with forward-facing sonar, now we can,
you're hunting a big fish,
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. And with forward-facing sonar, a lot of times I can see what I'm throwing at. Not all the times, but a good amount of times. And I've started really only throwing at fish that I think are like 7 pounds or bigger. Sometimes, I mean, not all the time. And there are times where I'm wrong about the size of the fish that I see on forward-facing sonar. There are a lot of times I can't tell. But that's definitely been something that I've noticed with my fishing is I'm not really fishing. Like you said, it's more like hunting. Like, I'm looking for one fish. Like, I will pass up like a tree that has a bunch of small fish in it to just keep looking, just because I'm driving so far to get to these places time is of the essence. I can't afford to waste time targeting smaller fish. And so I do a lot of moving around. I'm on the trolling motor constantly throughout the day. But really the deal is just locking into an area that I'm confident has big fish in it. If it's in like the pre-spawn time, it's got to be an area where I think fish are transitioning, or like wintertime, an area where I think fish are going to be feeding on bait or potentially pushing into spring areas. But that's been a big deal for me, just picking a section of the lake and sticking to it. And a lot of the times when I go down there, I'll stay a couple nights, fish a few days. I'll pick an area one day, and if it's not working, then I'll move to the next one the next day. But it's a lot of run and gun, but within a very small space, because usually they're going to be somewhere in that section of the lake. And if I can figure out what they're doing, I can usually replicate it throughout the lake.
Knowing that forward facing was going to be like a main tool that you were going to use, did you really like fine tune how to like read all that and how to use it and stuff before you even started this, this chase for the 10-pounder, or are you still kind of figuring it out as you've gone from lake to lake?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's impossible to be perfect. It's a technique. It's a technology that I will forever be learning more about. I wouldn't say that I had it fine tuned when I started this quest, but I would say that it is more finely tuned now that I've spent all this time learning to target bigger fish, because really it's an 8-9 pound bass does not behave the same as a 3 or 4 pound bass. They're like, to me, they're completely different species of fish.
Okay. Break that down. How so?
So they tend to do completely different things. A lot of times, especially like in the winter time, which is when I focus on this quest, in cold water, they're just at their fattest, they're their biggest. It gives me the best chance. If I catch a 25-inch fish, chances are it's gonna weigh heavier than it does right now in May. So in that time of year, a lot of the fish group up, they school up. Those are not the ones I'm after, because those are 4 or 5, 6 pounders. The ones I'm looking for, they are solo fish. They're usually on an isolated piece of cover, and it's usually very like non-discrete, not obvious. Sometimes it's very obvious, but a lot of the times it's not. And learning like what to look for has been the most difficult thing, because I will fish a bunch of stuff that I think they're on, like a specific type of piece of standing timber and a specific depth on that tree, because a lot of times they tuck up in these standing trees and you can't see them. You can't see them in all the limbs. And so I'll fish through like 20 of them and be like, all right, I guess I'm not in here. And I'll just pull up on one random one that has like a little high spot, a little dip next to it, or maybe that's where the bait is, and there will be a 9-pounder in it. So learning those details and learning how to recognize them with forward-facing sonar has definitely been the biggest learning curve. It's really a lot more than just looking for the fish and throwing at it, because a lot of times I can't see them, but it's understanding what's happening around a certain piece of cover or in a certain area. Bait has a lot to do with that as well. And then as far as like the bait selection goes, that's been really important as well, because these fish are pressured. A lot of people fish. I mean, this is if this wasn't a well-known place, I wouldn't have dropped the name on the pod, but people know about it. There's really no point in trying to hide it. I was hoping going into this quest that I would find some like hidden gems, like some lakes nobody's ever heard of. And I think they are out there. And you can catch a 10-pounder out of them, but this place is just, it's got them. And I think it gives me the best shot.
What are excuse me. So bait wise, like what are you throwing? Are you throwing big swim baits? Are you throwing spinner baits? Like what have you found to be the best?
Yeah, so I kind of went into it thinking that, to catch a bigger fish, I need to throw a bigger bait. And that was confirmed early on. A lot of these bigger fish, they're spitting up 7, 8, 10-inch gizzard shad. Like big gizzard shad. I'm like, okay. So a lot of it has been glide baits, swim baits, and of course the trusty jig head minnow, but not your typical offering. I'm usually throwing a very big minnow, like a 7 or 8 inch minnow.
Shoo. Yeah. That's big. And you're throwing glide bait. So obviously you're catching some of these fish shallow. I mean, I don't throw glide bait, so I don't per se know exactly like what kind of depth you can fish them in. I just assume it's always shallow.
Yeah, so usually the big ones, most of the big ones I've caught have been over deep water or next to deep water, but they will set up very shallow and like high in the water column sometimes.
Floaters.
Yeah, but they'll be on a piece of cover.
Right. Yeah.
So it's real interesting because sometimes like in the winter, early in the morning, you'll see them all tucked into the trees, like 20 feet down over like 35 feet of water. And when they're like that, when they're tucked up to the trunk of a tree that has a bunch of branches hanging off of it, and they're 20 foot down, they are impossible to catch.
You might as well just write them off.
Yeah, those fish are difficult to catch because you can drop a jig down there and hang it off a branch, or you can drop a drop shot down there and hang it off a branch. But good luck getting them out of there. In order to catch those fish, that you really need to be like have a bait that you can pull them out. But throughout the course of like on a sunny day, throughout the course of the day, or sometimes there will be a drop in pressure, or maybe the wind picks up. Very like small changes in conditions. Sometimes it's just where the sun is angled.
Right.
Those fish will slowly rise throughout the day, and they'll get like 35 feet under the surface and just sun themselves. Sometimes they'll be right under the surface on that piece of wood or in that tree. And that's when that's when the glide bait really excels, when they do that. But a lot of times they'll roam around in little wolf packs or pairs or by themselves, and you'll see them on live scope. It's easy pickings. They're not always going to bite, but those fish eat a glide bait too. So a lot of it is target fishing, but a lot of it is also utilizing the forward facing sonar to being like, oh, there's a 6-pounder floating out over 40 feet of water.
Right. Man, you've probably have learned so much about how these fish just react to everything, to weather changes, to pressure changes, to sun, clouds, all that. And whereas you've probably learned so much in the last few months of just doing this that that I would never know, because I just fish the same couple bodies of water all the time. It doesn't really change too much, and there's this, when it does change, it's the same factors, blah 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 blah. But your knowledge has got to just be just expanding like crazy.
Yeah, well, being able to see it in real time has been a big deal, and I think it kind of goes into that forward-facing sonar debate of this has been like 4 months that I've been targeting these fish on these lakes, and I have learned a lot. I have really learned a lot, but without forward-facing sonar, I would not be where I am. It shortens the learning curve so much. I'm not saying that I would never get here. I'm just saying that it would take a lot more time on the water.
Right.
A lot more time on the water.
Yeah. So speaking to conditions and time of day, have you found there to be an optimum time of day, both time of day and conditions, and kind of like if you've seen it mix and match with sun and clouds and wind and what all, like, where have you felt like, all right, I got these conditions, this is a really good time to catch a big one right now?
Yeah, so I kind of went in with the belief that the cloudy, low pressure days, those were going to be awesome. Those fish were going to get aggressive and they were going to eat. But the truth is, the best days I've had out there, super high pressure, not a cloud in the sky, slick, calm conditions, maybe a little ripple. Those are the best days I've had out there. And then as far as like time of day, it changes. It changes through the seasons.
Yeah.
But usually there's an early morning window and there's an afternoon window. And those windows can be really short. Sometimes it depends on the day. But I've had days where I'll catch 2 right in front of the boat ramp first thing in the morning and then not get a bite for 3 hours, and then go on a flurry and catch 10 the next 2 hours and not catch one the rest of the evening.
Right.
Wow.
Are you a moon guy? Do you follow the moon, pay attention to the phases?
I am a moon guy. I always set up all my best stuff right around moonset if it applies on that day. And I I don't know the science behind it. What's that?
Moonset.
Moonset. Yeah. I don't know if there's any legitimacy to that, but I have there are a couple guys I fish with that really know how to catch them, and they talk about that stuff religiously. So it's on my mind. It's on my mind. It's something I think about, but I have caught some really big ones like right around that moonset.
So did you know? So you noticed that the slick, calm, hot, or not hot, but sunny days, because you're fishing in the pre-spawn a lot. Is that specific to the pre-spawn, or is that starting to kind of shift now as, you know, we're kind of moving out of that pre-spawn phase into the spawn phase? Like, you know, are you seeing any differences there?
Yeah, so I haven't been down there since April, since like early mid-April.
Okay.
And I haven't really spent the time out there to give you a straight answer, but pre-spawn winter, definitely high pressure days.
Right.
I would assume as we get further into the summer, those low pressure, you know, kind of windy, overcast days may be better. But I just want to speak on the moon one more time, because I do look at the phases, and I pay attention to whether it's a new moon or a full moon, because I really feel like a full moon, your best bite's going to be first thing in the morning and usually later in the evening as well. I think it puts a lot of fish on the bottom.
Yeah.
And when you're fishing a place like this, that's no bueno, because it's literally a lumber yard down there. You can hardly fish a bait on the bottom in most places. New moon is, it really depends. I've been trying for the last 2 years to try to wrap my head around how the moon phases affect bass fishing, and like doing all these like charts and calculations, but there is no real answer. And the best thing I can do going into a day when it comes to moon phase is look at it and be like, all right, well, I'm here. So no matter what the moon phase is, I'm fishing.
Right. But it helps to have give yourself a baseline, you know what I mean? Like, you know, at least with, knowing when the moon set is going to be, and, you know, that at least gives you a general idea and a launching point. Because look, here's the facts. It fucking matters. Like, I don't care what anybody says. For wildlife, that's all they got for a calendar. That's all they got for a clock. That's all they got for anything. So if anybody, like, it's crazy when people be like, the moon phase doesn't matter for the spawn. I'm like, bullshit, dude. Like, it has to matter. There's no way it doesn't matter. Length of day and moon. It's all a critter out in the world has to go off of. They got nothing else. So it's, but yeah, sorry, Shane, what were you getting ready to say?
You nailed it. That's what I was gonna, have you speak on, was just how all wildlife in general just relates around. For me, it's length of day, right? Because that, I'm a deer guy, true, but so, a lot of guys, I won't get into it, but the rut and moon and all that, but it's all length of day. The animals, they don't have anything else to go off of. So, why wouldn't the bass also relate to the moon phases and all that as well?
Yeah, I've got a buddy too. I mean, it doesn't just apply to wildlife. I've got a buddy who, around a full moon, sometimes he'll get up on his roof and start howling. And
hell yeah, dude! About 18 bush lights deep, I get it, bro. I'll start howling at the moon too.
Exactly.
I'll do it. But do you feel like the further, like we're kind of, I mean, I don't know what they're doing down there, but right, we're kind of coming towards the end of the spawn, moving more into, soon it'll be summertime stuff. Do you feel like maybe your chance of a 10-pounder is kind of slipping away a little bit, because these fish are going to get skinny here soon?
Yeah. So down there, it's full blown post spawn summer transition. The majority of those fish got done spawning around the end of April.
Right.
And the spawn really started there probably like the first week of April, I think. I had a day out there. It was like April 7th or something. I was catching them spawning in the standing timber, and they'd be up in this timber and they'd slide down onto this hard spot that had a bunch of stumps on, and they just sit on there. But you could see the males in the tree. I was catching the bucks out of the tree. And then you'd see the females slide up into the trees and just hang out there, and then they'd slide down. It was really interesting.
That's
watching
really cool.
them do that, because I've heard like some guys in Texas saying, "Oh yeah, they're spawning on the trees," but I didn't know that was a thing they do until I started fishing places with standing timber around here, which
Right.
there aren't many of them.
Yeah, I mean, Rich, you would know better than I, but is that similar to like how like a Lake Fork sets up?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Lake Fork is absolutely chock full of timber, and it also grows giant ones.
Right.
Texas has also adopted the Florida strain stocking program, and they got a real big initiative down there to grow giant bass. So
Yeah.
That they do come across an issue sometimes. So what they do with these fish, like you're saying, Rich, is they'll actually take them from the anglers and they'll spawn them with bass in their hatchery to use the giant fish's genetics to release the juvenile bass into lakes across the state of Texas. And so we're talking 12, 13, 14-pound fish that they're taking from these anglers, and then the anglers get to release the fish when it's time after they spawn. But they're running into an issue because some of these real giant bass, they're actually eating the 2 and 3 pounders they're supposed to spawn with.
Is that for real?
Yeah.
No
It's
shit.
insane. It would be pretty cool if we could have a program like that around here, though. But the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources is actually halting all F1 bass stockings right now because their budget was just slashed by the state of Virginia, and they're facing a difficult road ahead with some of the fish stockings and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of a really big issue that not enough people are talking about.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to budget cuts, they always go for the shit that they think doesn't matter first.
Yeah,
they go for that low hanging fruit. Yeah, so no doubt.
So I have a question for you, Rich.
Go ahead, bud. Go ahead.
How does the moon affect what you do on the Chesapeake Bay, being it's a tidal fishery?
Yeah, it definitely I believe it has a big effect. The moon triggers movement in the fish, but it also triggers really big tide swings, which can have its own adverse effects on the phases of the fish. So like, for example, like 2 weeks ago, we were coming off of a full moon, super high highs, super low lows, and the low tides, the pattern that we were in on the tide chart. If you look at a tide chart, there's always one really big tide, and then there's one kind of moderate tide, and that's the spring and the neap of when the moon and the sun are in line. And during that time, the lowest of the low tides was happening at the coldest part of the night, like the absolute coldest part of the night. Like the low tides were between 4 and 8 a.m. call it, for both sides of the full moon for a couple days. So the water was getting super, super low at the absolute coldest part of the night. Well, that means, when you're dealing with a body of water that has shallow flats and 2.5 feet of water, and it's got 40 something degree air temp sitting over top of it, when the water is at the absolute shallows, that knocks them back. Like it absolutely knocks them back, but it doesn't take them completely out of the phase that they're in. It just pushes them off just a touch. And like something that's super, super unique about the Bay and super unique about tidal fisheries in general is like, when you fish on a lake, like maybe like one of the lakes that you've been targeting the 10 pounders on, lakes have a tendency, when fish pull up to spawn, most of them will pull up and most of them will go, because that water temp can stay stabler over the course of a 3-day cold front. Where on a tidal body of water, and you deal with these super adverse conditions, it can go from stable to like super volatile really quick. So bass on tidal bodies of water have a tendency to spawn a little bit here, pull back off. Spawn a little bit here, pull back off. She'll pull back up, lay a little bit more when the weather's right, have a buck come in and fertilize it, and then she'll pull right back off. And we see it every year on the Chesapeake, where we go through these windows where it's like everybody's saying the same thing. Man, it's so hard to catch a big one. It's so hard to catch a big one. And it's not because they're not there. It's just because they get affected by these adverse weather conditions, dealing with the tide, everything else, to where it just kind of busts them up. And the moon has a big effect on that, because the moon controls the tides, and that's a super big factor on what phase the fish are going to be in, is based on what the water levels are doing, what the wind's doing. So it's a big deal. It's definitely a big deal.
My question was going to be for you, Aidan, is like, when you've come up to the bay, how much has the tides been a learning curve for you?
They've been a huge learning curve, and I would like to spend more time out there. I've only been once this year. I went a couple times last year, but when I was up this spring, I had a great time. So the first fish I caught was like a 6-pounder. I was like, oh, this day is going to be awesome. And then the rest of the day was just like pound and a half or something. Like, what's going on? Like, I thought I was going to smash them. But I was thinking about the tides going in. I think I started on a falling tide. I was about halfway through the falling tide. And so I kind of figured that was probably going to be my best opportunity. And then I fished through the high tide, and then it started falling again. And there were times where I didn't notice it, but then I would go back through a stretch. I'm like, I didn't know there was rock here. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, it was something that was in the back of my mind, but I wasn't thinking about it as I was going along. I kind of focused on that like mouth of the Susquehanna area, which I regret. I realized I probably should have been in the grass. Guys were smashing them in the grass that week. But I had fun just flipping a jig. I kind of got burnt out there for a second, just with the live scope and like shaking them in all the time. I needed to change of pace, change of scenery, and I had a great time flipping a jig, man, throwing a spinner bait, chatterbait. It was awesome.
Like your grandpa told you to fish.
Yeah, I mean that's how we all learn to fish, man.
Yeah.
But so you launched in Joppa, right?
Okay, so this is crazy, man.
Your story, man.
So I wake up in the morning, I pour my coffee. I still don't know exactly where I'm going, but I'm sitting there sipping my coffee, looking at the map on my phone. I'm like, oh, there's a boat ramp here. This is like 45 minutes from me. This gunpowder. All right, let's do it. So yeah, I drove up to Mariner Point Park. It was like 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning, and I turn in. Like I go through, you got that big sign. This was my first time ever going there. I go through the sign, and I
got the cop car. Got the Gorton fish stick, man. You know what I mean?
That's the one. I see a cop car, and then another cop car, and then I keep going, and there's like 10. And I look to my right, ambulance, fire truck, dive team. I'm like, oh, maybe I came on the wrong day. So anyways, I parked the boat, and there are a bunch of fishermen like me standing there, like kind of like, can we launch your boats? Like, no, like there are divers in the water. There's cops everywhere, DNR officers. Well, it turns out somebody drove a car or pushed a car or something into the boat ramp, and it was like 20 yards out from this boat ramp, and all you could see was like the little hatchback sticking out of the water line. But it was crazy. And I took some videos, some pictures, and just waited for a second, and then they brought it in a tow truck. I'm like, oh, they're gonna get it out now. And then they, like there was some armory guys were talking, and then a bigger tow truck came. I mean, like the biggest tow truck I have ever seen. I'm like, okay, like we're probably gonna be here for a while. I waited for like 45 minutes, and they never got the car out, and they weren't gonna open the ramp. So I was like, well, like I could go down to Middle River, or I could go to Tidings. So I ended up putting in at Tidings that day. I caught a bunch like right around that marina, and then like some of the seawalls, docks, and little cuts, up on the left there.
Yeah. That's so Joppa Town.
Yeah, I was just about to say you got a proper Joppa experience there.
It's so Joppa Town, dude. Like Middle River, Joppa, you're close enough to Baltimore. You get it all, man.
Yeah, you're always in for a show. That is for sure. So when you launched at Tidings, I mean, I know you fished a lot of that stuff right there. Did you make the run out to the grass at all? Did you attempt it at all?
No, not this year. Last year, I fished a few days out there, and yeah, I did fish the grass. I actually don't have so my console unit is a 7-inch Lowrance HDS, and I have to rewire it, so I didn't have navigation. I've got a bunch of waypoints and trails out there for the flats on that thing. Not a bunch, like two trails. Like I know two ways to get out there and like not rip off my lower unit, but I'm still like a little, cautious about running the flats in my boat.
Run it.
Yeah, just go. All right.
Go. If you don't see it, it's not there. I promise you. Next time you go, just run it. You're good.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Don't let the fear mongering take you away from going to where the best fishing is. I promise you. Run it.
All right. I got it. I'll be out there soon. See you tomorrow.
So moving into this, it's the post spawn phase down there, Aiden. Are you going to continue to try to catch a 10-pounder on these same bodies of water? Or are you going to shift? Are you going to move? What does that look like for you?
I think right now I'm going to shift into some more traditional bass fishing. I'm going to branch out, try to fish more places, fish the Upper Bay a lot more. I want to get out on the Potomac, Lake Anna in Virginia. There's some places in Pennsylvania I want to fish as well. And so like I said, I was kind of getting burnt out doing that, and it's fun, but I was kind of losing the excitement about it. And this is going to sound horrible, but like I would catch an 8-pounder and I'd be like, it's just an 8, like it's not a 10. Right. And I was kind of like losing, not losing the confidence, but I was just losing that spark, that energy, that excitement, and catching a fish that big, because catching an 8-pounder is awesome. I was just losing the excitement over it. And so, yeah, I've had a lot of fun fishing some places closer to home. Yeah. I have not been upset about having to drive less. I've actually been on Lake Anna a lot recently. Lake Anna is a fun place. It gets a little tough for this time of year, but there's so much to fish there. So many points and rock piles and docks. I mean, grass lines. Like it's been a lot of fun. But I'm looking forward to getting out on the Upper Chesapeake more than anything. Conowingo too. I heard you guys.
Yeah, Conowingo's firing right now.
I used to fish there as a kid. I actually was in. Rich, you're probably familiar with this, but when I was like 15, 16, I fished in the Brandywine Junior Bass Club.
Nice. With Justin?
With Justin. Yeah. Nice. And we'd go up to Conowingo, we'd fish the bay, and that's where that was the first time I ever fished out of a bass boat. First time I ever fished the Chesapeake Bay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man, I'll tell you, side questing is always a good thing. So it kind of you'll shift and you'll reset, and then you'll have your fun, and you'll probably have some grinders on the bay because she always produces those. But there's have you ever fished the Octorara Reservoir in PA? I have not. So,
I've heard about it.
Yeah, that was one I would suggest trying. I mean, I don't think there's any. I mean, I don't know if there is or not. As far as 10-pounders go, but it's another electric only, and they have John boats and stuff there when you get there that you can rent to take out. But it's a fun little place to fish. It sets up pretty fun.
They eat a big bait there, apparently.
What's that?
They eat a big bait there.
I've seen it on the map, and it looks like a place. I mean, with the dirty waters, steep shorelines, a lot of wood, seems like a good place for a big 7-inch bone glide bait. Bone-inch glide bait.
Yeah. Apparently that is the word. They eat the big bait there. So what's the plan? Are you going to pick back up in the wintertime pre-spawn phase? Start going back to these same haunts that you were at this year, trying to catch a giant?
Yeah, I think really the time frame is December through March.
Right.
This year it got a little tough in February when we got really cold and things started to ice over on either side of that ice. Well, actually, right before it iced over, it was awesome. But after the ice, it got really tough when the water got down to like 41, 42 degrees. It was not easy out there. But it's insane what these fish do in 45-degree water temperature, how they'll fly up 20 feet to eat a glide bait. It's nuts. But yeah, I think I'm going to make a couple trips down there this summer, but I'm really going to hold off from the 10-pound quest until December. I really want to target these fish while they're at their fattest, and it needs to be in the coldest water months in the winter and when those fish are preparing to spawn.
Right.
Yeah, makes sense.
My best day out there was just before the spawn. It was the end of March this year, and it started out first 20 minutes of the day. I put a 9-pounder in the boat. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I caught it on a 6-inch minnow. And then I was just going around. 20 minutes later, caught like a 4-pounder on a glide bait. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then I caught a 6-pounder on a glide bait in like 2 casts. It's like, okay, this is going to be the best day ever. And then I got real slow. And then this afternoon window opened up where I caught, I think it was like an 8.6 or 8.3 or 8.6 or something like that. And then I actually had a buddy hop on my boat, and we went out and caught. And this was the craziest thing because I was catching them out kind of deep still, but later in the afternoon, I was literally watching them swim towards me up onto these flats where they were about to spawn. And we caught a few more 8-pounders, a couple 6s and 7s throughout the rest of the day, and ended up with 41 pounds, 10 ounces that day. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's jeez. Whew, yeah.
all those fish were fat. They were fat, you know.
Yeah,
like
just
that bag now, like those 5 fish right now, probably like 34 pounds.
Still. Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, just make sure you come back up here for a little summertime frogging out on the flats, man. That's always a good time if you can time them up right. But
I'm looking forward to it. I have a very like love-hate relationship with the flats, as I'm sure everybody in history ever does. But I had a day last year where I didn't catch giants, but I cracked them. I caught fish all day long, and a couple days later, I was saying to my buddy, I was like, man, he has a boat similar to mine. I was like, man, you got to come out here. Like, you got to fish this with me. And we go out of tidings in the morning, and he's got a buddy with him. I'm like, all right, guys. Like, and I was kind of like telling him, like, yeah, bite's pretty good, but I smashed him. I was like, all right, guys, why don't we do like a friendly competition here? You know, we'll weigh our best 5 and meet back at the ramp and see what happens. Well, all the fish I was catching in this area, gone. Within like 2 days, gone. This was like early June. Meanwhile, they cracked them about a mile away from me. Absolutely cracked them. And we get back to the ramp, and I was just like, I cannot believe this happened. But I feel like that's just the way it goes out there. And if you aren't able to adapt and figure out how those fish move and how they, because I'm really like I look at a contour map, and okay, this is how fish get around with these contours. But you look at a place like the flats, and it's like the contours these fish use to move around might only be like 6 inches.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
They move on bars out here. There's not really contour lines in a lot of places. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's some generals. We have general ideas of how they move, and some of them are stronger than others. But once they hit the flat, you just gotta find them by fishing. That's really all there is to it. But
well, before we wrap it up, I mean, so I know it's in your bio, but so you got a pretty decent YouTube channel too, Aidan, and I know you've been, you got over 1,000 followers and stuff, and you've been putting up videos. I mean, when did you start all that?
So I actually started when I was a kid, when I was getting into bass fishing, but I took a long hiatus and then just started it back up about a year ago, a little over a year ago. So yeah, I'm posting videos. I need to get back on it more and get on more of a weekly basis, but I have a few videos up there, and then I'm on TikTok and Instagram as well. Yeah, when I threw out your name in the group chat right when I messaged you the first time about coming on, I sent those guys text like, look, he's coming on, this is what he does and stuff. And Mason, one of the other guys that does his podcast with us, he's like, oh yeah, I've seen his stuff on TikTok. So I mean, you're getting around on there for sure. But I mean, I was on your YouTube channel. I mean, your editing and stuff is on point. Like I said, you got over 1,000 followers. You might as well keep it going, man. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I'm definitely going to put some more time into it and get some more videos out there. I've really been focused on like the short form content because it has the most immediate returns, at least right now. But I really want to, branch out to all of the platforms, and hopefully one day I'm not working in the restaurant anymore.
Yeah, I get that. Hopefully one day I'm not watching people put in pipe for a living. So, but well, I mean, Rich, do you have anything to add before we close it out here, bud?
No, man, I think that was awesome. Aiden, I hope that you continue to have chances at these giant bass, and next year or later on this year in the summer, if you keep heading back to these reservoirs, I hope you do it, man. I think you will. I truly do. I think you will. So don't let off the throttle, dude. Just fucking keep going.
I appreciate it, man. It's been great talking to you guys.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, Aiden. I really appreciate it. And like I said earlier, I know your schedule's tough, so I really appreciate you working with us and sliding us in when you could.
Absolutely, yeah. I appreciate you guys working with my schedule as well. I'm excited to get back out on the Upper Bay. I'm excited to get back to the 10-pound bass quest. There's so much I'm excited for this year. Like, this year has been such a crazy year for me when it comes to bass fishing, and then putting content out, because I wasn't always about like Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and all of that. That's kind of more of a recent thing, but I've had fun sharing my journey. There's definitely been a lot of ups and downs, but Rich, I appreciate the support. Shane, I appreciate it. I really hope I can get it done. The second day of the 10-pound bass quest, I just got to shout out my boy here, Caden Haynes. The second day. All right, so I went down to this lake and I caught a 9-pounder. It was the first 9-pounder I'd caught down there. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like, it could happen. Like, it could happen here. I call my guy Caden. You got to come down here, because he's a little closer than I am, and he drives through the night, meets me there in the morning. Our buddy Kyle was there as well, and we fish a long, hard day. And I smashed him this day. Kyle smashed him. Caden would have smashed him, but he lost, he dumped like an 8-pounder at the boat, had a 7 come off. And then as the sun's getting ready to set, and Caden's like 30 yards away from me on his boat, and he's fishing out of a John boat like mine, and I just hear, oh my God. And I look over and he's like, oh, bent up on a giant. He's getting down on his knees. It's a giant. It's a giant. And then he just starts screaming, freaking out. And I'm heading over there, and he's like, it's a 10. Caught a 10.5-pounder. It was 10-12.
Oof.
And this was January. This is like when I was first getting into this 10-pound bass hunt. Wow. And I was like, all right, it can happen. It can happen. Yeah. So I just want to leave things off there. Anybody can do it, man. Anybody can do it.
It can happen.
Well, awesome, man. So throw out your social media handle stuff where people can follow along, watch it all unfold, and see the pictures when you finally do catch that 10.
Yeah, absolutely. On all platforms, it's Aidan Ford Fishing, AIDAN Ford Fishing. Instagram, cool. YouTube, Facebook, TikTok.
Awesome stuff, man. Well, Aidan, again, I really appreciate it. I'm going to throw you back in the background, bud. That way you can get off. And then Rich, we just hang tight for just a sec.
Oh, God. What do we still have going on?
Sounds good, guys. I appreciate you taking the time and having me on the show.
Yep.
We'll talk.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Rich, what's the game plan for the weekend, dude?
I have no idea.
Nothing yet? You got nothing?
I got nothing, dude. The wind has not stopped blowing. I mean, I got an idea, I'm still catching a ton of fish.
Right.
It's just haven't really found that special sweetness this year yet, where it can happen at any minute though. It can literally happen at any minute. We'll see what the wind does tomorrow. I'm going to be able to get some time tomorrow and, get out and look. But it's going to be a good weekend of bass fishing any way you slice it. We got a Chester County on Saturday. We got a SummerSlam on Sunday. So, at the very least, it's going to be a good weekend on the water. And Sunday looks primed. Looks like the wind's really going to lay down. Going to be able to put braid on the thumb and just.
Ooh. I know you posted that reel flipping the other day. I was like, God, man, that looks fun.
Yeah, it was good. Go figure. last weekend was the first weekend that we didn't have any tournaments to fish on the bay. And sure enough, the wind laid down for 2 days. And Sunday it got rude on them. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit. I wasn't sure. I'm out of the loop on what's going on out there, so I wasn't sure how it was setting up.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'd call it 50-50 still right now, pre-spawn to spawn phase. There's a lot of fish that are going right now. There's going to be a lot of fish that go, in the next few weeks as well. But last weekend on Sunday was the first opportunity that I've had to fish where the wind wasn't crushing all year, pretty much.
Right.
Aside from the day that me, you, and Dylan were out, that was another day where the wind was kind of subdued. But It was the first time I was really able to get out and see what I'm fishing, not with the magic box, actually see with my eyes. And it was primed up. So good fishing on the upper bay right now. It's always good. It's always good fishing out here. But we'll see. I'm excited for it, man. I'm gonna go out and leave it all on the water, and we end up. So
cool. Well, fish your ass off, man. I hope I hope this is your weekend for at least one of them.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, no, just gonna go out and fish a couple tournaments and hopefully keep just keep fishing good. And that it's weird. Like I haven't had a stellar start to my tournament season, but like I've said it to my buddies, and like in a couple of my buddies have also not had super stellar starts. Like Connor's not really lighting the world on fire. Duke, aside from, his win early, he's not really lighting the world on fire. But like we're talking, we're like, man, I don't really feel like I'm fishing bad. Like there's definitely been times where like, in years past where like, I'm like, oh man, Rich, you fucked this one up. Like you fished like an idiot today. You made bad decisions, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, I can't really put my thumb on that. Any event this year, it's like, I'm just not colliding with him. Haven't collided with him yet. And so whatever, keep going out, keep trying, keep having fun, keep bass fishing. So it is what it is. But.
Yes, sir. Well, good luck to you, bud. Good luck to Connor. Good luck to Duke. Good luck to everybody.
Where's Mason at right now? What the fuck is going on?
Mason is laying on a cot somewhere in the middle of a ice cold mountain in Maine. So yeah, he's up north. I don't know exactly where he's at up there. He could be in Canada. I don't have a clue. But he's doing Mason things.
Yeah, he's doing Mason things. You and Dad got out on the Wingo this past weekend. You guys, I saw some pics. You guys stuck a few fish.
Yep. Wingo's doing Wingo things right now. I mean, it's the same thing every year, man. You go out there and you catch 1,000 fish, different sizes. Yeah. But I mean, it's just so fun for me, at least. It's so fun to go out there and just lean on a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's you get to go catch a bunch of brown fish. That's always fun to catch smallmouth. Where'd you guys launch out of?
Glen Cove. That's where I always launch.
Oh, that's where we launched as well.
Okay, gotcha.
That's the marina. You drive down the hill.
Yeah, to get to the ramp, you go way down that hill.
Yep. I do that tight turnaround.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, Mason always launches at Peach Bottom, I think, across on the other side of the river, but up north a little bit.
Right.
So I think I'm going to go up there tomorrow too, see what happens.
Nice, man. Tie on a net.
Is that what you guys were fishing?
Weedless owner 1/8 ounce blockhead with a big TRD worm. I mean, they reeled him in just all day. So
yeah, I always just straight Texas rig like a rage crawl up there. green with red flake. Always seems to work good.
If it works, it works. Don't change the wheel.
They honestly, God, they seem to just eat everything. But well, cool, bud. Anything else before we wrap it up?
No, that's all I got. When does Mason turn 21?
Dude, I have no idea. I don't know.
Has it already gotten by us?
No, I think it's at the end of this month.
It's at the end of this month. Okay.
Yeah, I think like the 23rd, 22nd, something like that. Right. I think we're good.
Motherfucker, you look 30.
If he ever comes back from Maine, he might not come back.
He might not. He might not.
But all right, well, let's wrap it up.
Yep.
Appreciate everybody listening. Again, it's the Upper Bay Podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Catch you on the next one. Later.